اهلا بيكم في كايرو دار. هنكمل مع بعضنا اهم 100 سؤال في البايو. ان شاء الله مش هيخرج منهم الامتحان باذن الله. نشوف اول سؤال معنا دلوقتي. بيقول لك what would happen in each of the following cases: introducing a piece of bread inside the mouse and chewing it continuously for 3 minutes. لما نجيب حته عيش نحطها بقنا نقعد نمضغها كده 3 دقايق، ايه اللي يجرى؟ العادي ان احنا نجرب كده هنلاقيها بقت مسكره شويه، يبقى حصل في حاجه هنا في الماوس، حصل digestion. نعرف ان في السلايفا secretes thiolene enzyme which hydrolyzes starch into maltose. So the digestion that takes place inside the mouse is a starch that change into maltose sugar that due to the effect of thiolene enzyme or salivary amylase which hydrolyzes the starch which act as a polysaccharide into maltose which act as a disaccharide. The next question: what would happen in each of the following cases? Removal of the ileum experimentally from the body of mammalian animal. اتفقنا على انه لما يقول لي remove او stop the action او damage او ايه، يبقى نقول الاورجن ده كان بيعمل ايه. الاليوم احنا قلنا the small intestine about 8 meters. The first 25 centimeter is called duodenum, but the rest of the small intestine is called ileum. Inside the ileum, digestion is completed of all the food components and also absorption takes place inside the ileum. So, the absence of the ileum or removal of the ileum from the mammalian animal, that means the digestion is not completed inside the body and also no absorption of the food takes place. So, the animal will die. So, the answer, the animal will die because the ileum inside the ileum, digestion of food is completed and the absorption of food takes place. The absorption of food means the passage of the absorbed food material through the blood or through the lymph and reach the blood. The next question: what would happen in each of the following cases? The Casparian strip is absent from the cells of the endodermis in the plant root. The presence of Casparian strip, which made of ceoprene in the form of ribbon around the cells or the endodermal cells or the passage cells, the ceoprene is impermeable substance. So it prevented the passage of water to reach the phloem because the xylem and the phloem are located on the alternated radii inside the roots. So the presence of the Casparian strip allow the water to reach the xylem vessels and prevent it to reach the phloem by imbibition, which is not controlled by the cell. So the absence of Casparian strip, that means the water is not passes through the xylem vessels only, but can reach the phloem by imbibition, which is not controlled by the cell. But the next point, the passage of the ion, the ionic salts from the soil to the root cells against the concentration gradient. The passage of ions against the concentration gradients means from low concentrated medium to high concentrated medium. That means that takes place against the concentration gradient. That needs the presence of chemical energy that released from the aerobic respiration. The chemical energy released from the aerobic respiration, that means burning the food at the presence of oxygen by breaking down the bonds between the food molecules. احنا قلنا في definition قبل كده للاكتيف ترانسبورت كان ممكن يجاوب لنا على معظم الاسئله بتاعه الاكتيف ترانسبورت. اللي كان بيقول لي ايه؟ كان بيقول لي active transport is the passage of any substance through the plasma membrane كده دي اسمها ايه؟ against the concentration gradient. وطالما against the concentration gradient يبقى help with the help of chemical energy. Chemical energy is released as a result of the aerobic respiration, means the burning sugar at the presence of oxygen. So the answer, the cells need more amount of energy produced from the aerobic respiration, that means the burning sugar at the presence of oxygen. The passage cells or the endodermal cells also containing starchy granules which act as a food stored inside the endodermal cells to facilitate the presence of source of energy as a starch to produce amount of energy that required for the active transport. The next question: What would happen in each of the following cases? Absence of valves from veins. Absence, removing, the disturbance takes place in a certain organ or certain part. That means we need to explain the function of this part and what takes place or what would happen when the absence of this part. What's the function of the valves? The valves allow the blood to move inside the blood vessels in one direction and preventing its flow back. So the absence of valves in veins means the blood will flow back to the body, because the veins or blood vessels carry blood from the body organs to the heart. The presence of valves allow the blood to move in one direction from the body to the heart and preventing its flow back. So the absence of valves that causing disturbance in the blood circulation and may causing blood clotting, because the blood move at the presence of valves in one direction with the same velocity. That means the blood cells and blood platelets is not broken, but the absence of valves, that means the blood can move in a certain direction and return back or flow back to the body organs, that causing disturbance in the blood circulation. The next question. What's meant by each of the following? Plasmid, polysome or polyribosome. Plasmid is the small, very small circular DNA inside the prokaryotes. The plasmid is very important during the recombinant DNA. But the polyribosome or polysome, that is the presence of mRNA and a number of ribosomes during the translation or during the protein sense. So the plasmid is one or more small circular DNA molecules in some prokaryotic cells. يبقى prokaryotic cells هي اللي عندها circular DNA, the presence of plasmid, absence or not complexed with protein. The DNA is attached to the plasma membrane. The duplication takes place at the attachment point of the plasma membrane. The genome of the prokaryotes, most of them codon, and many difference between the DNA in prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. From this difference, the presence of plasmids in the prokaryotic cells. But the ribosomes, it is the mRNA molecule which has several to over 100 ribosomes attached to the mRNA during the translation or translates the codon of that located on mRNA into amino acids and joining the amino acids to form the polypeptide chain. The next question. What's meant by each of the following? Releasing factor, human genome. The releasing factor, it is a certain protein that located on the stop codon on the mRNA that causing the termination of the protein sense. كنا دايما نعرف ان في ستارت كودون A و G وفي ستوب كودونز. The stop codons UGA, UGA, UAG, UAG, UAA. دول stop codons. On the stop codon, the presence of a certain protein which is called the releasing factor that causing the termination of protein sense, means the separation between the small ribosomal subunit and the larger ribosomal subunit, and the polypeptide chain released in the cytoplasm that terminates the protein sense due to the presence of the releasing factor. But what about the human genome? The human genome is the all genes and the DNA that located inside the body cell or the somatic cells. كل الدي ان اي وكل الجينز اللي موجوده في السوماتيك سيلز بنقول عليها جينوم. واحنا نعرف ان الهيومن جينوم is divided into two groups. The first is called codon, about 70%, but 30% non-codon. The codon parts of DNA responsible for the formation of protein and the RNA. The non-codon parts protects the DNA and determines the codon parts of DNA. That's the last question of this revision. My dear students, thank you very much. Goodbye and good luck.